Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Um, so some of my videos I deleted recently because there was maybe something going on with the audio or something going on with the video quality. I had a video where I was interviewing my friend who's from an area in the Middle East. We were talking about Gaza and the Ukraine war and all of that, but I unfortunately had to delete that just because of the quality issue. And yeah, so I thought I should start this off by just introducing myself once again. My name is Stefan Podbiera. I'm from the Czech Republic and Romanian. I have relatives in countries bordering Ukraine, bordering Russia. I have family, friends in Ukraine. I know people that took in refugees, as well as people who were the refugees who had to be taken in, people who fled the country. I have connections to the area. I have connections to the war. And I just want to talk a little bit about this war again. You can check me out on the Echoing Change blog. Right now we're closing in on 20,000 views, which is pretty crazy. But I've written a lot about it because it's something that I feel very passionate about. I've been writing about it since the war broke out, since my freshman year, which is pretty crazy. And it's still ongoing. People are dying every day. And it's just horrible. And it's insane to me how this is still going on. It's been over 2 years, over 100,000 people injured, tens of thousands of people dead by this conflict because of just an authoritarian regime that just wants more and more power. I want to tell you the story of a family friend of mine who is directly involved in this conflict. So my parents are friends with this couple, and they had a son about my age. They were in Kiev about 2 years ago. And when people were starting to flee, when this war started to break out, when Putin started to line up his troops along the border, and when they finally invaded, they of course fled. And these were very, very respectable people. And I'm not saying that if they're not like educated or something, that they're not worth being saved or anything. But just for this example, if these were highly educated people, PhDs, like very respectable. And ever since then, ever since they left the country, they've just been going around and around Europe. And it's so hard. They don't know what to do. And it's just because of this war. I think the United States needs to get involved. The more I read about it, the more I come to the conclusion that this cannot stay like this. The US and the Western world needs to take a stronger stance on this conflict and on this war. Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Russia's attempted control of the country, and it's pretty clear that what they really want is control of the region. They were never going to stop at Ukraine. Russia's attempted control of the region and the attempted bringing back of the Soviet Union is something that needs to now and should have been met with a lot bigger reactions from the rest of the world. Most countries in the world, most of our democratic allies from the United States are sending money, of course, pretty regularly and in pretty large sums. But clearly that's not stopping Russia. I think the US needs to get involved more directly. And yes, and some people would say that the United States, if they get involved, Russia will come out and they'll even start World War III. That's a big fear had in some of the communities across the world. who are scared of a war, a breakout, and all that. But I think it's pretty clear, as someone that knows people in the region, as someone that knows many people affected by this war, as someone that is close to people, who know people who have died, and just has seen the first-hand effects of this tragedy. It's clear something needs to be done, more than just sending some money here and there. The US and other powers, but the US specifically, needs to get involved. This is an attack on democracy. This really is an attack on democracy. Because when one country, look, we've seen it in El Salvador right now, when one country cracks down on getting rid of democracy, when one country does something that threatens it, all the countries like El Salvador and then now Venezuela and all the countries surrounding it, they see it and they see that there are people who support it, and it feeds this authoritarian idea that has started and ended so many regimes in the past, and it's dangerous. If Russia is ever successful in taking over Kiev and successful in taking over Ukraine, it will be a very, very harmful attack on democracy, and it will not be the last. Well, first of all, it won't be the last Russian invasion or attempted invasion, and it definitely will not be the last invasion of another democratic country by authoritarian government. This is going to have long effects on the world, and it's going to be very harmful for the democratic world, for the United States allies. If the US and if its allies in Europe don't get involved, it will be much worse than if they do. Even though Ukraine is not part of NATO as of today, this is being filmed on September 4th, 2024. Even if it's not part of NATO, something needs to be done, because it's pretty clear in history that history repeats itself, and it's been pretty clear that in the past, when something is not done, when there's an attack on democracy in this way, and for so long, so consistently, for 2.5 years, that bad things will happen and nothing good will come from this. It doesn't matter how long Ukraine holds them off, how long they throw soldiers at them just to die. Every day that this goes on, every single day that this goes on, there are harmful attacks being sent to democracy. The United States and the Western world needs to get involved.